This is an orthokeratology case where the patient is getting some distortion in vision after wearing lenses, and looks like the treatment zone is pretty small. This is a baseline topography, and what I'm noticing is there's a little bit of asymmetry to the cornea, especially if you look at the profile. Um, you can see that it's not very symmetrical on, especially when we look in the vertical meridian. There's an area of steepening down here. I think some of this might be just the tear meniscus, but I I don't think it's a bad idea just to double check. This patient does have fairly steep Ks. Just want to make sure that is not an area of inferior ectasia with this patient. This is prior to treatment. So assuming that this is just from the tear meniscus and we just have a little bit of asymmetry um, on the cornea itself, then this would probably be a patient where I'd switch to a freeform lens. And I'm going to bring up the lens. I'm also going to bring up the video that you had submitted. And bring that down a little bit. So this is the patient's lens, pretty steep case. We're correcting a fair amount of myopia, but we don't have a very flat lens. In these cases, I would probably reduce the OZ a little bit. We're at the conventional 6.2, 6.8, I believe. But I think the patient would get a little bit better uniformity in the optic zone if we can reduce that a little bit. The other thing I'm going to do is go to the freeform version of the tear layer display, and you can see that now it looks like the lens isn't fitting very well according to this display. And if we bring that video back up, it actually does correspond pretty well. You can see that in the upper meridian there, wave anticipates a lot of clearance, and we can see that in your video. So this is a case where I think switching to a freeform design will get this lens to align a lot better. Better seal off in the areas that we need it should give us a better looking post-wear topography. So designing a freeform lens for Ortho K unfortunately does mean we're kind of going from scratch again. You can't just click into the freeform box. At least that's not the recommended way to do it. I don't know all the specifics of the software as to why that's not recommended, but I just go by best practice, and that's to go into the tools, configuration settings, and then you want to go back to your Ortho K presets. So this patient was also about a diopter overcorrected. So instead of a plus 170 target, I think we can go for a plus 125. I'm going to reduce the OZ to 6, and then we'll put the IC at 6.6. You have an edge thickness of 30 and a center thickness of 22. Your diameter is at 10.9. Also, this is not a very large cornea either. So 10.9, I think, is what I would go with. So we're going to go freeform, and we'll hit prism balance just to make sure the lens is oriented the correct way. I'm going to pause the video while the lens is designed through the wave process. So now we have our new lens that Wave has designed. It's a little bit steeper than before. It's free-form so that the tear graph looks more uniform in every meridian. And I would go ahead and order this lens. During the order process, one thing I'd recommend is putting a note in the box here, just asking the lab to dot the lens at the 6 o'clock or the prism ballast location. That way you can have the patient kind of observe in the mornings to see if the lens is oriented correctly. It's good to know if a freeform lens is turning on the eye, because if it is, then that kind of negates all of the freeform design we put into it. Just ask the patient when you next see her whether the lens does have that black dot at the bottom of the lens, and hopefully it is staying oriented, and that'll get your patient seeing a little bit better with better looking post-spray topography. So I hope that helps. Best of luck with your patient. Thanks for watching.